Hi everyone, it's Joy here for HoneyBee Stamps. Today I have 3 cards for you and I'm going to share how I did some easy painting with the new Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide Ink. So now in my Misty I have a piece of white cardstock and I'm actually using the barnwood background to stamp up. I actually have stamped up 3 backgrounds. The one here, the ink that I'm using is the Frayed Burlap, but I also did one with Salvaged Patina and the other one with Hickory Smoke. So this is why I love the Misty, so I can really get a good image. So I stamped that down. I'm inking it up again because you can see there's a few spots that just didn't ink up on my paper, and so I'm just using some pressure to really get a good impression from my images. I am making A2 size cards, so all of these panels are A2 size, but aren't those colors pretty? So again, this is Salvaged Patina, Frayed Burlap, and Hickory Smoke inks on these backgrounds. So now I am going to stamp my flower images. I'm stamping them in Prize Ribbon. This is flowers from the Paradise Blooms stamp set. I am just keeping it super simple, and I kind of like that there's not a ton of dimension to these flowers. I think that's what I really like about this design. So I'm just going to finish stamping all of these up. I'm just making it easy and using an acrylic block to stamp up all of my images. So as you can see on my work surface, I just stamped down that Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide ink right to my workspace. Then I'm just using a water brush pen and I'm adding a little bit of water, and how much water you want is going to depend on how light you want your design. Now I will say this did not bother me, but because I did my inking or my stamping in the Prize Ribbon, it also has the effects of the water to it. So if you add too much water when you're painting, it's going to blur your image. Now if that doesn't bother you, then it doesn't bother you. It didn't bother me, so I'm not worried about it. So you can see on those flowers there, I did a lighter color, and then I came back in with the darker color. So I dipped my pen in the ink that was not full of water to give me a darker painted image, if that makes sense. So if I want my color lighter, I'm going to add more water. If I want it darker, I'm just going to do direct ink. So these flowers, I really wanted them to feel white with a blue highlight. So I'm just coming in with a little bit of the ink that has a little bit of water and then some of the ink that has no water. So really painting with this is really super easy. You could definitely get more detailed, but I really, like I said, wanted to kind of keep this almost flat. The image is almost flat, where I'm always trying to add detail to my images. I really had to try not to for this because that's really the design look that I was going for. So once I'm done painting all of these, I'm just going to use the coordinating dies and die cut them out, and we're going to have tons of images to make 3 of these cards. These are just the leaves, and again I'm just coming in, and this is a quick painting. There is nothing even fancy about the leaves here. So here are the coordinating dies. I'm going to die cut out all of my images, and I have a ton of them, but I kind of like to have more than I plan on using, although I think this time I did use all of them. You can see there I actually was trying to play around with some green, and I just didn't like it. I just decided I'm going to keep it all blue, which I'm really glad that I did. So now I've got the cute bitty buzzwords. I'm going to use the word hugs, love, and happy. So I'm going to pull these out, put these on a piece of white cardstock. I'm going to do some heat embossing on these. So I'm going to ink them up. First I'm going to prep my paper with an anti-static powder tool. And I actually dumped on way too much of the powder. So I had to dump some of that off in my garbage can. But I'm just prepping that so I don't have strays of embossing powder where I don't want it. I'm going to ink up my images with Versamark ink. Then I'm going to come in with some gold embossing powder because I think gold will kind of make these cards add a little bit of class to it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to heat those until they are melted, and I'm actually going to use the coordinating dies to die cut these out. So this will have a nice white border, which I really, really like. So I'm going to tape all of those down in place and then just run this through my die cut machine. I love that HoneyBee Stamps has all of these die cuts for their sentiments. It makes it so much easier to use them. So now I'm going to stamp the second part of my sentiment. And so one of the cards says, "You make me happy." The other one says, "All of my love." And then the third one says, "Sending you hugs." These little sentiments, I am just going to stamp with some intense black ink and then trim it down with my paper trimmer. So I'm just lining that up at the bottom so it's just easy trimming for me because I'm just kind of lazy that way. So now I'm going to add some of this Prize Ribbon ink to my card panels. I'm actually adding it where my flowers are going to be, and you'll see what I mean once all the designs get together. So for the background that has the hickory smoke, I have it on the side. This background is the Frayed Burlap. I'm adding it at the bottom because this is where my flowers are going to be sitting when I'm done with this design. And then the Salvaged Patina background is actually going to be all the way around because I'm going to have flowers kind of almost covering all edges of this card. There'll be a little bit of openings, but I really just think this prize ribbon is beautiful. And with these flowers, even though they're tropical flowers, it doesn't really feel like a tropical card to me, which is not what I wanted actually. I just wanted this to be a really fun design with a lot of blue. So I'm going to come in and start adhering all of my flowers and my leaves. Some of them will have some foam tape behind them for dimension, and I'm just kind of playing with the layout. I want this to have the flowers kind of cascading down the left side, and then I will have a couple down at the bottom right, so that way the sentiment can be in the center, and it just kind of feels like a cozy card to me. For this card, I'm going to have them off to the left side. I'm not going to have as many flowers, but I just do really like how that design came together. And then my third card, all of the flowers are going to be at the bottom. I've got a leaf there that I'm going to add. All the big flowers have foam tape behind it. And then I'm just going to tuck the other flowers in and around. Then I'm going to adhere the sentiments down. I kind of was playing around with what card was going to have what sentiment, and I think they just kind of all found their little homes. So I'm adding some foam tape behind all of the larger sentiments and then adhering down that sentiment strip with some liquid glue. For the last card, the sentiment strip will also have some foam tape behind that, just the way the design worked. I did add all of these card panels to a white A2 size card base. So when I'm done doing this, I'm going to come in and add one of my most favorite embellishments, which is the Tree Hugger wooden hearts. I just think these little hearts are so darling. So I have 3 of these to each one of the cards. I'm just using some liquid glue to adhere them down, but I just think they're so, so cute. And I just love how simple this painting was with Distress Oxide ink, and I love how it turned out. I want to thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.